Welcome to Above the Canopy, your pulse on supply chain and logistics. Here we surface the research, the voices, and the perspectives that matter most.
Today, I am very happy to have special guest Derek Gittoes. Derek is the Group Vice President of Supply Chain Management Applications at Oracle. Derek, I hope I got that title correct.
You are perfectly correct. Yes.
Great, great. Well, welcome to Above the Canopy. Thanks again for your time and willing to join us.
Well, thank you, Thomas. Glad to be here.
Yeah. And I will say this is Derek, I was thinking about that this morning. This is our 25th year to know each other.
Wow.
So it's what we would say the 25th anniversary of the original time we worked together back at a company called G-Log, which is now Oracle Transportation Management. So time flies, my friend.
It does. And we just get better with age.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just jump right into it. I know you're coming off of a trip to London where Oracle is promoting obviously AI, and I think it's even AI World.
Yes.
Maybe you can give us just a little bit of what you guys announced at AI World in regard to how AI is, I would say, built into the supply chain management applications with Oracle.
Will do. Will do. Yeah. So we announced on March 24th uh, what we view as the next major step forward in the evolution of enterprise applications, including supply chain applications. And we call them agentic applications. Of course, they're based on what is the core now sort of workhorse of AI, which is AI agents for task and process automation. But agentic applications take that to the proverbial next level. So think of rather than a static application like order management or finance or anywhere where it's a system of record, you record what happens, but all the thinking, all the cognitive work really still lies with the people running those business functions. Well, now we can have applications where I can set objectives like maximize on-time delivery, minimize logistics costs, minimize my sourcing risk, and have teams of agents assembled into an application to do that work for you and actually move the work forward for you. So not just with human in the loop, but really human in the lead running these applications. And it's really, and we announced 22 uh, uh, examples of these types of agentic applications, including 10 in supply chain, and a whole new set of supporting technologies to help customers and partners build, configure, and deploy their own agentic application. So it was big news, and it really builds upon the work we started literally only a year ago, because it was at London 12 months before that we announced our AI agents and AI agent studio, upon which now these agentic applications are built. So very exciting stuff, and the pace with which these technologies are evolving and being put to use is like nothing we've seen before.
Yeah, thanks for giving us a little the pulse on that. And I think the comment you just made, the rapid evolvement of these applications. I mean, it seems like it's almost changing weekly now, from a standpoint of what we're hearing and everything. I remember your presentation at Gartner last year, where you were talking about agentic AI in an application. I think it was procurement, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and it was very interesting. And so to see that Oracle has released and continuing to release more of these agentic capabilities. Um, with that said, do you have a customer example or example of where customers are actually deploying these and seeing benefits from this type of AI capability?
Sure. We so one of the things that's very interesting when we talk about the rapid adoption. So we launched AI agents and AI Agent Studio in March 2025, so just 12 months ago. And in that time, we already have over 63,000 people who have gone through our certification program to learn how to use and basically how to configure and build. And we've been really supportive of the hackathon concept for customers to, go from, the classroom to actually, developing hands-on. And so one great example is a customer recently just posted on LinkedIn. So I talk about it as Simmons Foods. They're, as the name implies, a food product manufacturer. And in the space of relatively, very short time, these hackathons typically maybe 1 day, 2 days, developed, I think it was 14 different AI agent use cases across their business. And when I was in London, we had a Customer Excellence Awards, and one of those categories was for the use of AI in supply chain. And the award winner there was a company called MTN. They are a very large telecommunications company headquartered up in South Africa, providing telecommunication services and products across Africa, across the greater region. So we see lots of companies, including our own inside of Oracle in our supply chain business, because of course we make servers, we make storage systems, we build out data centers, and we are big users of these technologies ourselves.
Yeah, and I mean, Oracle made a massive bet on AI, and just as you said, it's not just on the application and the technology, but it's on the data centers and everything as well. So you technically have your own internal supply chain, as you were referring to.
Yes.
Yeah. So the one thing that I was thinking about from maybe the people that are listening, because I think people at times get confused a little bit about just, and you mentioned it at first, but maybe walk me through how an agentic AI process would be created by a user, for instance. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but just maybe talk about how it works in one of the applications and
Sure.
what you would do compared to saying the old way of, I'm going to set up a workflow and maybe I'm savvy enough to create something in SQL.
So the most simple, basic kind of agent is what we call an advisor type agent. These would be sometimes referred to as co-pilot, I guess, type agents. And this is where you have an agent that you've given access to maybe some standard operating procedures or other enterprise-specific content, and they can act as an expert to assist somebody in performing their job. So one of the great examples of that, or two examples of that, is in procurement. So most companies, I think every company has a set of policies regarding things like buying new laptops, office equipment, cell phones, travel policies, and who's actually read all that documentation? Well, not too many people, right? But if you have an AI agent, can absorb all of that. You don't have to program the agent. You literally just point it to the PDF document or documents or the SharePoint site or wherever all that information resides. It can ingest that, and then at the point you're going to buy some office supplies or go to upgrade your laptop, it can answer the question. Am I eligible? What steps do I need to take? Another example of that we built was in order management around customer returns. So again, return policies can become very complicated based off of who the customer is, the product, your contracts with them. And again, most systems are not order management systems. You can't program in all that logic. It exists in documents, it exists in people's heads. But an AI agent can absorb that information and again, provide assistance. And we can go from advising to actually performing work. So within our applications, the easiest way to think about it is any task that a person can perform, like authorizing a return, creating a return order, generating a credit, any of those tasks can be executed by an agent. To your point, you can create a workflow that says, if this condition, do this. But with AI agents, you can also insert, the reasoning, the knowledge bases to, again, simulate those decision steps and processes that people go through. So we go from advising on how to complete a task, executing a task, to sequencing tasks together to make more complex workflows, to the ultimate end, which is our agentic applications, where I'm literally running multiple business functions towards a stated outcome like minimizing logistics costs or procurement costs or what have you.
Great. Yeah. And that makes sense. And I think that's where, as we've seen, everyone's pointing to the fact that, hey, with this type of AI, obviously you're going to get productivity gains, faster ROI, and things of that nature. So when you're, in that layout, you're talking about if I can move a process faster, or I can make that process automated versus having to be a manual process or pushing to a user for approval, then I can either deploy those additional resources elsewhere for better outcomes in the business that we were never able to get to, or I can do other things with those resources as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I see the benefit. They come in a few different categories, and some of these benefits they build upon each other. So the most basic benefit is productivity, the volume of work done, right? So if you can eliminate a bunch of, say manual steps and you get more done. But the productivity gains here are not, 5%, 10%. We're talking about in some cases, 70%, 80%, 90%. So it's really significant productivity gains. And the other benefit you comes from having more consistent and higher quality execution of those tasks and decisions. Because again, you think about the personnel in your organization. Not everyone's at the same expert level. Certainly, when you bring in new people, but with AI assistance, you can take someone who is relatively new in a role and have them perform at the same level as someone who's been there maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So not only are you doing more work, the productivity piece, you're more effective in the work that you're doing, and so you're making better, more consistent, higher quality decisions, which then not only you get more work done, but that leads to better outcomes, lower costs, better service, better design decisions. All those decisions that people are making, you're now performing more of them, and you're performing them at a higher level consistently.
Right. And I've always been a believer that companies that are adopters of technology will have a competitive advantage in their space. And I really believe this to be the case with AI adoption, but I also think it has to be AI adoption in a specific set of the business or a specific use case. It's not one of those where you just immediately go all in. You've got to have a plan with this, just like any implementation you would with any type of software. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And that's why we kind of lay out these, how do you get started? All right. So they may not seem like the most, world changing use cases, but those advisor type use cases, you learn a lot by setting them up, and they have a meaningful impact. And again, we have those types of advisor use cases everywhere. Just think of having, an expert that's sort of sitting there next to you, who's knowledgeable, always there, always up to date on whatever your current policies are for, procurement, for logistics, how you run your sales and operations planning process, how you contract with your suppliers, can give you expert advice. And once you get that down, then it's just one logical step of, okay, well now not only I'm going to give advice, but I'm going to actually have the agent execute one or more of those tasks, like actually approve the requisition, send the negotiation invite to the supplier. So I'm even get to the point where it's going to be reviewing the bids from my suppliers and awarding. So indeed, you can go from advising on how to buy something to completely automating sourcing events all the way through to contract execution. But you got to get started somewhere. And
No.
the worst thing you can do at this particular moment in time, I would say, is wait and see. Because wait and see when things are changing at an exponential level, you may never catch up. And certainly if your competitors get moving, before you do, you don't want to be in the world where someone else has a productivity and effectivity rate that's 10 times what you do. The outcome is not good.
Yeah, and that sounds to me like you've had that conversation with probably a few companies based on that response.
Indeed, Indeed.
And with that, let me ask you a couple of questions in regard to because of these conversations you're having with decision leaders at companies. Um, in today's environment, what is one decision supply chain leaders cannot afford to delay?
They cannot afford, put it this way, the best time to have started a supply chain modernization in terms of getting the applications where these AI, what I've just described in terms of AI agents is possible, the best time to have started that was last year. The second best time to have started is today.
Yeah.
All right. So if you are not on a path to, again, it's not just about this AI stuff really only works if you can perform the foundational elements correct. Like if you're still running your, let's say your warehousing on paper, all right, AI is not going to help you. If you're still, planning shipments in Excel, AI isn't going to help you. So you've got to have those sort of foundational systems in place from which AI can work. And if you're not already on that path, I guarantee you there are others who are. Others, as in like others in your industry. And indeed, if you're a company that can manufacture something at a, let's say, a competitive price profile, and you can't catch up because your productivity is that much poorer or your cost to serve is that much higher, the outcomes could be quite dire.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing that we need to be cognizant of, and again, this goes back to with any implementation of technology, master data and quality data, clean data. If we don't have clean data, we're just going to have a garbage output. So they'll garbage in, garbage out. I think that's still the same with AI as well. Now, there is the capability that we could use AI to help us clean that data or to bring that data into a master data management area and then have a repository. But again, I think that's the big thing. Again, if you've got garbage as master data, this is not going to be it's not worth the
Yes,
investment.
yeah, exactly. And again, I'll put that into those, foundational, capabilities that really are prerequisites to be successful or to achieve the kinds of successes that people are looking to achieve with these AI technologies.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump into specifically around AI. Just a couple more questions on that. We know many companies are experimenting with AI, and obviously, thanks to having agentic AI studios and things of that nature, like you called out earlier. But it's about just overall, normally what I hear from companies when I'm talking to them is it's either a top-down approach or it's a bottom-up approach or it's a hybrid approach in a company where CEO went to a conference or has talked to one of the big consulting companies and they've said you've got to go do this, comes back, throws it on his IT organization and throws it on the business and says make it happen. But or it's led by the users and the users bring it up to management and management says, okay, let's adopt that with a plan, right? So, which I think both approaches can work. I'm a fan of the hybrid approach where the C-levels buy in, but the business brings forth the initiative and everybody comes together and says, yeah, let's do this. We've got a plan, we've got outcome, we've got benchmarks, et cetera. So we know that companies are beginning to embrace this. And as you um, rightfully said, if you're not doing it now, you're going to be behind or you're already behind. Um, but I think few companies are truly scaling this. What separates the organizations that move beyond proof of concept to the leaders? And I know that you're having those conversations with a lot of those companies as well. What do you think?
Yeah, so we talk a lot about here this concept of operationalizing AI, which is, to your point, you need to go beyond proof of concepts and pilots. And a big way that you achieve that is, of course, the AI AI use cases really need to be embedded in the day in the life activities of the people who you're looking to support. Yes, there's value in, some of these AI projects where you've got, you're extracting a bunch of data and putting in some data warehouse and you're performing some analytics. That can be useful and valuable. But if you really want to have an impact, it the AI use cases need to be there in the flow of work, ideally in the systems where the people do the work, to the point where it becomes um, not even necessarily obvious that the AI is being utilized for the person to do their job. So yeah, I think I read somewhere that AI becomes really useful when people stop describing it as AI. So like we have AI, anytime you use Google Maps or Apple Maps, go somewhere, there's a bunch of AI running. No one calls it, oh, I'm using my AI mapping. Okay.
Right. That's
or,
yeah.
or if you're using, Alexa or Siri or any of those things, no one describes it as, my AI voice assistant, but there's AI there. So it really needs to go mainstream. And I say this really goes back to what I mentioned earlier about if your core applications that are used to do the work, again, your supply chain here, so your transportation system, your sourcing system, order management system, your warehousing system, that's where the AI needs to sit, because that's where people are doing their jobs. And so if you're telling someone that, well, I got a swivel chair out to this little thing here on the side, and it's just not going to achieve the same level of a impact or b acceptance and uptake, as opposed to things that are embedded into the application itself. I mean, just think if you're sitting at home watching Netflix with all these intelligent recommendations, but if you were told, well, we can't do the recommendations in Netflix, instead you've got to go to this other application to look up what movies we think or what shows you might be of value, or yeah, you might do that, but it's not nearly as powerful or as
Right.
useful as having it right there in the point of where you're going to make the decision. So if I've got an AI agent that's giving me, guidance on, cycle count recommendations or guidance on, diagnosing my transportation plan without me really even thinking about, oh, I gotta go to my AI system to do that's going to have the most profound impact. So to kind of, I guess, net that out, say we have to think about how AI becomes embedded into the task, into the day in the life, and into the systems where that work gets done, not as some thing here on the outside that maybe somewhat loosely coupled or integrated into the workflow of the masses, of all the people doing all the frontline work, or all the people in your supply chain teams, back in the office doing their day-to-day jobs.
Yeah, no, great point. I think we really need to, like you said, we're at a point now where it's like, it's just part of the work. It's just really part of the solution, helping us, become more efficient. And I love that example. What do you think really is the blocker that's keeping companies from adopting this strategy right now?
I would say there's a couple things. One, there's just the general, we're going to take a wait and see, because we're not really sure. Is this technology really? Yeah, maybe it works, maybe in sales and marketing, but it's not going to really work in supply chain. Supply chain is difficult, it's different, and yeah, these technologies are not like any technologies. It's not perfect,
Right.
uh, but they are making an impact. And as I said before, this is you and I have been around this technology game for a while. Um, this is not like not to harp on other technologies. This is not like, say, blockchain or RFID. This is as transformative as the internet. And this is as transformative as, you go back even farther, ocean containers and
Oh,
steam powered engines. Right? This is the transformative impact is going to be substantial. And as humans, we tend to do. There's two behaviors we tend to follow. We tend to overestimate the impact in the short term. That's the hype.
Yeah.
And we tend to underestimate the impact in the long term. I think we can only underestimate the impact of these technologies. And so if you're not getting going with it now, these things have been proven, just like autonomous vehicles, autonomous driving has been proving. The only reason we're not all riding around in our autonomous cars is because, government regulations and just sort of general society acceptance of it. It's not a technology limitation. We don't have a technology limitation on agents and agentic workflows. We have, adoption inertia because it's new, as opposed to anything else. So yeah, I said from what we've seen when companies dive in through hackathons and other concepts, people love it, and it's not. Of course, there's always a lot of fear. It's going to replace my work.
Right.
One of the I have this discussion all the time. One of the fundamental, even far more disruptive than global trade changes, which we like to talk about a lot because it tends to grab the headlines, is the demographic disruption. We live in aging societies. We don't have enough people to do the work. The fundamental constraint on growth is we don't have enough human beings. And so and I also joke, even if we started having more babies, I'm onto that business, but even if you went down that path, that's a generational problem. That would take 20 some years before you would see that impact. So we need to, in order to continue to advance and grow, we need to create far more productivity for the people that we have today. And this is the best chance, the best technology that exists to make that happen. So there will be winners and there will be losers, and I guarantee the winners will not be the people who waited to see how things would play out.
Yeah, no, and unfortunately, we still have, the number one system that's used by lots of companies is still Excel, and lots of paper-based and things of that nature. I'll switch gears a second. I'll put on my professor hat, and I tell my students when I'm teaching to them, and we talk about agentic AI, I'm like, look, you guys are at the age. This is right in your wheelhouse. You grew up with technology. This is, embrace this, right? It's here. It's not changing. It's changing. It's not going to go away. The second thing you need to do is become the master of your domain, meaning wherever you go to work, whatever you're going to do, understand the process, and then be the thought leader and help try to bring this in and maximize the efficiency, right? And so, again, we're trying to prepare this next generation of supply chain practitioners to go ahead and be thinking, let's adopt this technology. Let's think about this technology because this is going to be the new way. The last thing I'll say with that is always verify your sources. Check the output. Again, if you make a bad input into the process, you're going to get a bad output. So, it's like anything. We have to test it. We have to look at it. We have to review it, and then we can execute and turn it loose. And I'm a big believer in that. And it's like it's no different if I was implementing a TMS and looking at the optimization plan.
And that's why another one of the reasons I would say that holds people back on the operation and sort of mass deployment is there's uncertainty. We've heard about hallucinations and what if I turn over the keys, will this thing drive my car off the road? Well, first of all, do you have 100% faith in all the people in your organization that are going to do the right thing 100% of the time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day? Probably not, but let's put that aside for the moment. So again, we have to build in levels of trust. And so a lot of what we've done in our technology isn't just configuring agents, but also in putting in, one guardrail, so you make sure agents don't do things that you wouldn't want them to do, like they're only going to recommend actions based off of your corporate policy as opposed to content on the general internet. Put in all types of testing and evaluation. So before you turn on these workflows, you can validate, okay, well, let's give it a bunch of different inputs, including some that may be kind of crazy, and let's see what kind of decisions it would come up with to verify that the right behaviors are coming out, the right decisions are being made that we would want these tools to do. And then once they're running, there's full auditability. Literally every single decision, reasoning outcome, action, it's all audited. So we can go back at any point in time and see, oh, okay, well, this was the, in this decision point, in this workflow, the large language model came up with this recommendation. That's why it did this. By the way, maybe that wasn't optimal. So we can, include that in the feedback loop so it does better next time. Just like, when you have somebody in the job who makes an honest mistake, they learn from it and they do better next time.
Yeah, and so we could say training is very important here as well. We have to train the
Yeah.
large language model. So,
Yeah, and that is it. I mentioned, I used the phrase, we talk about human in the loop. We're moving now towards, again, human in the lead. So
Right.
our roles, particularly, manager, production supervisors, logistics managers, product managers, customer service managers, you will not only be managing a team of people, you'll be managing a team of agents, AI agents, who are doing work on your behalf, just like your human colleagues.
Yeah, no,
And so
that's great.
that's what we get comfortable with. And again, it's no different, really, at the end of the day, it's no different than any other technology. The difference here is that the transformative impact is substantial. This is literally, one of those once in a generation, once in every few generation impacts, because it's going to be so significant and so widespread across all fields. There'll be no field of endeavor that won't see a significant impact.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way to sum this up. And so, Derek, I can't thank you enough for joining me on this on our Above the Canopy series and having this insightful discussion on AI and what Oracle's bringing to the market and what you're seeing specifically from as you mentioned, a couple of customers, and then walking us through some examples of how agentic AI is being deployed. And so the last question I'll give you: what's next with AI? What's the next term? So we've had generative AI, agentic AI. I keep hearing about self-healing AI. What do you think that term's going to be?
Well, for us at least, agentic applications is our next thing. It's only a week old, so I'll kind of stick with that, I guess. But my last little bit of inspiration for folks, I used this quote in my conference appearances last week about how it was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Yeah.
It is the worst of times in supply chain in terms of it being extremely challenging, but it's also the best of times because we've never had technology that can do the kinds of things that we can do today, and technology that's changing at a pace that, again, I can't, predicting what the future will be like in 12 months, even 12 months out, given what's happened over the past 12 months, I think this is the time where doing is more important than predicting. So I would be, getting in there, learning about agents and agent frameworks, and whether it's Oracle's or somebody else's, because these are skills where, again, the doers are going to outperform the wait and seers.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that, and I agree wholeheartily. So again, thank you for your time. It's always great to get to spend 30 minutes with my friend Derek Gittoes, and hope you have a great day. And folks, stay tuned before our next episode where we talk about these wonderful issues and all the things going on in supply chain with our Above the Canopy series. So Derek, thanks again. Take care, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Really appreciate it.
Above the Canopy, market-ready signals for the modern leader. Learn more about how to stay ahead at redwoodlogistics.com.